My name is Raghav and I want to talk about the Fantastic Four First Steps. The Fantastic Four First Steps is a 2025 American superhero film based on the Marvel comic superhero team The Fantastic Four. This is the 37th film in the Marvel Cinematic Universe and the second reboot of the Fantastic Four film series. The film was directed by Matt Shakman, who's the great director of WandaVision, and it seems Marvel hired him specifically to recreate the 1960s retro-futurism TV aesthetic and for no other reason. This movie has all the ingredients needed to make a good Fantastic Four movie, and all the cast are doing their absolute best to make the story feel honest and grounded, even with all the sci-fi cosmic adventure stuff. And although there is a lot to like about this iteration of the live-action Incredibles, it never fully really comes together to be any real fun. Something just feels like it's missing. Having said that, compared to the other versions of Fantastic Four that we've previously seen, this is definitely one of the better ones. Although I do have to say that the Chris Evans Jessica Alba one has a special place in my heart for its commitment to silliness and camp. The movie is clever to set itself in an alternate universe to keep it a true standalone movie and avoid any crossover with the rest of the MCU, which is clearly getting too big for the franchise to handle. Which is why these smaller scale stories, which involve more covert and under the radar characters like the Thunderbolts, are working, while the huge world affecting plots, namely the latest Captain America, don't work. This movie circumvents that problem by being in a totally different universe, and I'm glad that they visually differentiated themselves with this Jetsons-like aesthetic. It looks super cool and it creates its own limitations. It's very well thought out, and I love that it isn't just for show. It affects how the plot is developed, and that's worthy of praise. The main cast is full of more than capable actors, but it just doesn't come together for me. Pedro Pascal is a great actor, and you feel for him as Mr. Fantastic, but he has such an Atlas, I have the weight of the world on my shoulders vibe to him, and it's such a huge downer. In general, my biggest gripe with this movie is the tone. Although consistent, it is just so serious. And I'm not saying that it's lacking the tongue-in-cheek playful attitude of the other Marvel movies, and I'm not even saying that these movies shouldn't be serious, because you know, sometimes it's good to try a different tone based on the plot of the movie, but it's just the way that the tone is handled here. It makes the aesthetic, which is bright and peppy, feel like it's working against the movie, where you've got everyone dressed in bright colors, holding shiny discs and working with adorable robots, but then they all have this look of heartbreaking despair and doom and gloom. These two things just don't feel like a good pair. Not to mention that anytime Joseph Quinn's Johnny Storm makes a joke or says anything upbeat, it feels so out of place. It kinda just missed the mark for me. Ebon Moss-Bachrach works well in the role of Ben Grimm, aka The Thing, but you can tell that everyone else is having a really tough time figuring out how to interact with this CG character. Not to mention that shots of him with other humans look underbaked. There's this weird low fidelity, unfinished quality to some shots. What I mean to say is that the compositing could have used more love. I like Vanessa Kirby as an actress, and I've seen her display some great range in other projects. But again, in this movie, it's all so damn serious that nothing else feels like it has room to breathe. The four of them also seem to lack chemistry as a family unit. And this is not a fault of the actors, by the way. The movie just does not give you enough time to see them interact as a family. There's a handful of half-heartedly written scenes edited to death so you barely see any real moments happening. And then once we're in the plot, it's all plot from here on out. They may as well be strangers at that point, and any perceived intimacy or closeness is purely circumstantial. Julia Garner is an amazing Silver Surfer, and for me, she was the highlight of the movie. She's cool and weird, and her melancholia works with the tone of the film. I think this movie would have benefited if they had developed the character more and given her and Johnny a real story. Since none of the main protagonists actually have any kind of emotional arc whatsoever, I think this movie could have really felt novel if the angle was that the consistency and persistence of the Fantastic Four helps inspire the Silver Surfer to pursue a new path. Instead, we get like a scene and a half of talking and then an insincere final scene, which everyone can see coming from light years away. Also, Galactus is lame. He looks as mushy as that theatrical version of Steppenwolf, and I don't get it. If Thanos can look good and even Dormammu can have a fun presentation, why is Galactus just a computer generated dude in cosplay. Also, that entire third act action sequence is just dumb. It makes no sense, and I just didn't buy it. When the movie went into space, I got genuinely interested. We could have gone in so many directions. Negotiating with Galactus, black hole time dilation stuff, visiting Silver Surfer's world and learning her story. Anything could have happened, but instead we got another forgettable destroy the big city, waste of time fight scene. Now, superhero movies often go so overboard with action scenes in the final battle that they just turn into noise. This is very common, and even the most recent Superman is guilty of this. But the movie should have garnered enough goodwill by this point by endearing you to the characters and making you invested in the plot that you let this part slide. I'm not saying that's how it should be, but that's what it is. Fantastic Four just didn't do this for me. The whole movie should have been in space. That's my pitch. Bringing us back to Earth totally derailed the movie, and it was just really fucking exhausting. Some quick spoiler talk. The baby looks weird as hell. It's CGI a lot of the time, especially when Ben's holding him, but also in parts where it's a real baby, it seems like they've stitched the body performance from one shot to the head of another shot. And I know it's hard to film stuff with babies, but good lord, people have been doing a better job than this for decades. Also, that final plan where they want to lure Galactus to a specific spot is just so weird. Like, what information did they have that Galactus would come down physically and pick up the baby himself? The ship has a tractor beam that is precise enough to grab people, as shown in the Silver Surfer's backstory. Also, couldn't the Silver Surfer just fly down and get him? This is why I feel spending more time developing the Silver Surfer's change of heart and her eventually joining forces and helping the Fantastic Four outsmart Galactus would have been a more satisfying end. I also feel this would have given Johnny's character more time to shine as well. I know Johnny has a lot to do plot-wise in this movie, and it's great to see his character get this kind of love, but emotionally, I don't see much happening. Weird comparison, but if you've seen K-pop Demon Hunters, which is a really cute movie, a big part of this movie is the boy and girl who are on opposite sides meet in secret to talk out their differences. This happens a couple of times in the movie, and as the story develops, you get to know both of their sides better. I found myself wanting for something like that in this movie between Johnny and the Surfer. Like many of the MCU movies nowadays, Fantastic Four felt just like another blip in the mostly forgotten library of middle-of-the-road adventure movies. With a decent look and a decent cast, but subpar writing which just sucks out any fun that can be had, this movie is packed to the brim with plot and action, but ultimately it lacks heart. Thank you for watching. Please consider subscribing to my channel and leave a comment letting me know which movie you think I should check out next. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.